All right, get ready because we're taking a deep dive into some research today uh, about the impact of a free English immersion program in the Dominican Republic.
Sounds interesting.
You bet it is. You've sent me a ton of data on this.
Oh, yeah.
Administrative records, labor market stats, even COVID test results. I'm already hooked. So what's our goal here? To see if this program actually helps people get better jobs and earn more.
Exactly. This is a chance for us to really see if investing in language skills actually pays off for people. This isn't theory. It's about what happens in the real world.
Okay, let's start with the basics. What exactly is this program all about?
It's called Inglés de Immersion para la Competitividad, and the Dominican Republic's Ministry of Higher Education, Science, and Technology launched it back in 2005.
Okay.
And it's pretty intense, 830 hours of instruction. But the best part is, it's totally free.
Free! Whoa, that's incredible. Taking away that cost barrier must help so many people who couldn't afford to learn English otherwise.
For sure.
But 830 hours, that's like almost a full year of classes.
Yeah, it's a serious commitment. And get this, every year something like 90,000 people apply, but only about 25% get in. To talk about competitive.
Wow, yeah.
Shows you how much people want to learn English.
That's like trying to get into a top university. So who are these ambitious people fighting for a spot?
Well, the data shows that more women than men apply and participate, which is similar to what's happening in language studies in general, at least in the Dominican Republic.
Hmm.
Most participants are in their 20s, but only a tiny fraction, something like 8%, end up finishing a college degree. Makes you wonder what leads to those decisions, right?
Definitely. Are there hidden roadblocks to getting a degree? Or are these folks finding success in other ways? Speaking of which, what were these folks doing before the program? Did they already have jobs?
It's actually surprising, but less than a quarter of them had jobs when they started. Just think about it. They're putting in all this time to learn English, even before they have a job that needs it. Talk about dedicated.
Yeah, that's impressive. Shows you how much people believe that language skills can change their lives. So let's get to the results. Where do these dedicated graduates end up?
Well, about 67% of them find jobs, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Almost half of those who get jobs go into the private sector, mostly in call centers and hotels, which makes sense because tourism is so big in the Dominican Republic. Another 17% end up in the public sector, with education and healthcare being the biggest employers.
So it seems like the program's doing a good job getting people ready for the jobs that are out there. But here's a curveball. The data says that entrepreneurs, both formal and informal, actually earn the highest average monthly incomes.
It is a surprise. Maybe the program isn't just about language, but also about inspiring people to start their own thing. Makes you think.
Yeah,
Is it the program itself, or are they just attracting people who are already kind of entrepreneurial?
that's a great question. Could be a bit of both, but this definitely makes things more interesting. Okay, let's get down to brass tacks. Does this program actually work? Does it lead to people making more money?
The research says yes.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
The researcher used a sophisticated model to isolate the program's impact, and they even took things like the COVID-19 pandemic into account. So we know these results are solid.
So the pandemic didn't mess up the findings. That's good to know. But what about the results themselves? What kind of impact are we talking about?
Well, after finishing the program, people see their real wages go up by as much as 15%.
Nice.
And that's just the start. It actually gets even better over time. The longer someone's been out of the program, the more it seems to help their earnings.
Wait, so their wages keep going up even after they finish the program? That's pretty amazing. Are there any trends in who benefits the most?
Now, this is where it gets even more interesting. The research says that the program helps women and public sector employees the most. That's a win for equality, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
This is real proof that investing in language skills can make a big difference, especially for groups that might face more obstacles at work.
This is fantastic. It's effective and equitable. But let's talk practicalities. What about the cost? I know the program's free for the people who join, but somebody's got to pay for it, right?
Of course. The government put in an average of $452.40 per student in 2023. But get this, based on the extra money they make and the taxes they pay, that investment is fully paid back in about 6 years.
6 years. That's impressive. It's not just beneficial, it's a smart investment. Makes you think, could we use this kind of model for other training programs? And what if we can make it available to even more people?
Those are good questions to think about.
Lots to ponder, that's for sure.
This research definitely opens up a whole new world of possibilities. But let's not jump ahead too far. We still got plenty to discuss.
Mm.
For example, what about the 33% of people who don't find jobs after the program? What happens to them?
That's a great question. And remember that interesting stat about only 8% going on to college? Is that a choice or are there things holding them back?
Lots to unpack. Let's dig into those details next. What do you say?
I'm in. Let's keep exploring.
You know, it's funny. Even though most of the program centers are public, most of the students actually end up going to private institutions. Why do you think that is?
Hmm. It is a bit strange. It's not about cost, right? Since the program's free no matter where you go. Maybe people think the private places have better teachers or nicer classrooms.
Could be. Or maybe it's just easier, you know?
Yeah.
Private schools might have more options for schedules, which would be a big help for people who have jobs or families to take care of.
Yeah, that makes sense. Flexibility is key, especially for adults going back to school. But there's a twist. The top school in terms of enrollment is actually a public university.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The Universidad Autónoma de Santo Domingo, UASD for short, teaches a whopping 20% of all the students in the program.
That's impressive. Goes to show you what UASD can do. They're really important for making sure everyone has a chance to learn English, especially people who can't afford private schools.
It's a good reminder that public schools can make a real difference, especially when it comes to giving everyone a chance to get ahead.
Totally agree. UASD's success also shows that private schools don't always have the advantage. Sometimes public schools can be just as good, if not better, at teaching well and getting real results.
Exactly. It's about finding the right way to do things and making sure everyone benefits, no matter where they come from or how much money they have.
Speaking of where people come from, remember we talked about how most people don't have jobs when they start this program. What do you think that says about why they're doing it?
I think it shows how much they want to improve themselves. They're willing to put in the time and effort even without needing a job right away. They see education as a long-term investment.
Absolutely. It's proactive, not reactive. They're not waiting around. They're getting ready to make their own opportunities.
And that go-getter attitude could be what leads to those higher earnings we see for the people who start their own businesses. It's like the program is building confidence and a sense of control.
Like planting seeds of possibility, right?
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe learning a new language makes people more willing to take risks and chase their dreams.
That's a really interesting idea. It suggests that language learning isn't just about communication, it's about something bigger.
For sure. It could be about building confidence, expanding horizons, opening up a whole world of possibilities.
I want to shift gears a bit and talk about COVID-19. I remember seeing that the researcher actually looked at whether people in the program tested positive for the virus. At first, it seemed kind of random, but now I think it shows just how careful they were.
It's a key detail. The pandemic turned the world upside down, disrupted industries, people losing jobs, tons of uncertainty. So by looking at this data, the researcher could make sure that the pandemic wasn't the reason for the results.
So basically, we can be even more sure that the good stuff we're seeing is because of the program itself, not just because of what was happening in the economy.
You got it. Adds an extra layer of confidence to the research. It's like saying, even with a global pandemic going on, this program still helped people.
That makes sense. It makes you think that investing in education and skills is a good idea no matter what, especially when things are tough.
Exactly. It's about giving people the tools they need to adapt, thrive, and make society stronger and fairer.
Now, I want to go back to one of the most interesting things from this research, the fact that entrepreneurs who finish this program seem to make the most money. What do you make of that?
It really challenges what we think about education and careers. We often see education as getting ready for a traditional job, but this research says it can also help you succeed as an entrepreneur.
It's like the program is unlocking this entrepreneurial spirit inside people, helping them make their own opportunities instead of just looking for jobs at other companies.
And it shows how important it is to encourage people to start their own businesses, especially in places like the Dominican Republic, where new jobs are really important for the economy and for getting people out of poverty.
It's a powerful message about how education can change things. It's not just about filling empty jobs, it's about creating new ones, helping people become the ones who drive the economy forward.
Absolutely. And remember, the program itself isn't even about entrepreneurship. It's about language. So it's even more amazing that it's having this positive side effect.
Makes you wonder, what is it about the program that helps people become entrepreneurs? Is it the language skills themselves, opening up new markets and connections, or are there other things going on behind the scenes?
It's probably a mix of things. Of course, communication is crucial in business, so being good at English is a huge plus.
Right.
But on top of that, the program might be helping people develop other important skills for being an entrepreneur, like confidence, resilience, and problem solving.
Right. It's like they're learning more than just words and grammar. They're learning how to think and act like someone who can thrive in a fast-paced and challenging world.
It's about building confidence, expanding horizons, opening up a whole world of possibilities.
Now let's talk about how this program affects different parts of the economy. We've talked about tourism and call centers, which are obviously important in the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
Are there other areas where we see a big impact?
One that stands out is the public sector, especially education and healthcare. All the graduates end up working in these fields, and that's where we see some of the biggest jumps in pay, especially for women.
That's interesting. Why do you think that is? Is it because public sector jobs are more stable, so people can build their careers and use their language skills for longer?
That's definitely part of it. Public sector jobs often come with better job security and benefits, which can be really helpful for career growth. It's like a long-term investment that keeps paying off.
And the fact that women in the public sector seem to benefit the most is encouraging. It suggests that this program isn't just about making more money, it's also about making things fairer for women in the workplace.
It's a great example of how education can change society for the better, giving people more power and making things more equal.
Totally. And it shows how important it is to design programs that understand the challenges women face at work and help them overcome those challenges.
Now, let's go back to something we mentioned before, the fact that only a small number of people who graduate from this program go on to get a college degree. Do you think that's a missed opportunity?
It's hard to say without more info. Some people might be perfectly happy with their careers after the program and feel like they don't need a college degree.
Yeah.
Maybe they're making good money in tourism or call centers and feel confident in their skills.
Could be. But it's also worth thinking about whether there are bigger issues that prevent people from going to college.
Like what kind of issues?
Well, money could be a problem.
Yeah.
College is expensive. And even though this language program is free, there might be other costs that people can't afford.
Yeah, true. Tuition, books, living expenses, it all adds up.
Exactly. And then there's the practical side of things. Maybe they have to take care of their families or work long hours, which makes going to class hard.
Or maybe they just don't know what's out there. They might not realize how many doors a college degree can open or fully understand the benefits.
That's a good point. It shows that access to education isn't just about money. It's also about giving people the information and support they need to make smart choices about their future.
So maybe the program could help bridge the gap between finishing the language course and going to college. They could offer workshops or counseling sessions to help people explore their options.
I like that idea. It's about recognizing that this program is just the beginning. It's a launching pad for more learning and growth.
And it fits with the bigger goal of giving people more control over their lives and making society fairer.
Now let's talk about where people in the program come from. We know that over half come from the most populated provinces in the Dominican Republic. What do you think is behind that pattern?
Well, maybe those areas just have more schools, making it easier for people to join the program.
Makes sense. But also makes you wonder about fairness. What about the people who live in more rural or less populated areas? Do they have the same chances?
It's a good question. It suggests that where you live might affect your access to education, which isn't fair and could keep existing inequalities going.
It's like a catch-22. If you live in an area with fewer resources, you're less likely to get the education you need to improve your life, which can then lead to even bigger differences between regions.
It highlights the need for policies and programs that specifically target those underserved areas, making sure everyone has a fair shot at education no matter where they live.
Totally agree. It's about making sure education is fair for everyone so that everyone has the chance to reach their full potential.
I want to go back to something that's been a recurring theme, the amazing success of the Universidad Autónoma de Santo Domingo, UASD, in this program.
Yeah.
It's inspiring to see a public institution playing such a key role in something that's making such a big difference.
Definitely.
Remember how we talked about how most students end up at private schools even though there are more public centers?
Yeah, it seemed like people preferred private education.
Right. But UASD is different. They teach a huge chunk of the students, like 20%.
That's a major accomplishment. What do you think makes them so successful?
Well, they have a history of working with a diverse group of students, including many from low-income backgrounds. They're dedicated to making quality education available to everyone.
And they're clearly walking the walk. Their success challenges the idea that private schools are always better when it comes to quality education.
Absolutely. It reminds us that public institutions can be just as good, if not better, at teaching well and getting real results.
And it shows how important it is to invest in and support public institutions like UASD. They're essential for building a fairer and more just society
Uh-huh.
where everyone has the chance to succeed, no matter where they come from or what their situation is.
Couldn't have said it better myself. You know, another thing that impressed me was the researchers' attention to detail, like including that data on whether participants tested positive for COVID-19.
Oh yeah, that was smart.
It might seem small, but I think it shows their commitment to doing solid research.
For sure. It's like they were anticipating people being skeptical about the results and addressing it head on.
Right.
It's reassuring to know they took extra steps to make sure the findings are believable and trustworthy.
Exactly. That's what good research is all about, acknowledging potential problems and doing something about them. And it's especially important here, given all the disruption caused by the pandemic. The fact that this program still shows such positive results, even after taking COVID-19 into account, makes the findings even stronger.
It really does. It underscores the importance of investing in education and skills training, not just to boost the economy, but also to help people and communities bounce back from tough times.
It's like we're seeing the true power of this program. It's not only helping people make more money, but also helping individuals and communities weather the storm when things get rough.
It's a testament to how important education and skill development are for building a stronger future.
I'm curious, what do you think are the most important factors that make this program successful? If we wanted to copy it or adapt it to other places, what would we need to focus on?
Well, several things stand out. First, there's how intensive and structured the program is. 830 hours of serious instruction is no joke. It takes dedication from both the students and the teachers.
It's not just a casual thing, it's a real commitment to learning.
Right. And then there's the fact that it's completely free. That takes away a huge obstacle for a lot of people who couldn't afford quality education otherwise.
It's a game changer. It opens up education to so many more people, regardless of their background.
And it shows how crucial it is for the government to invest in creating a more just society where everyone has a fair shot.
Another important factor is the program's focus on specific industries like tourism and call centers. By tailoring the classes to what employers are looking for, they make sure that graduates have in-demand skills, which makes it easier to get good jobs.
It's a smart approach. It shows how important it is for educators and employers to work together to make sure training programs are relevant and keep up with the changing needs of the economy.
So, if we wanted to try this in a different place, what would we need to keep in mind?
Well, the first thing is to figure out what the people need and what challenges they face.
Like, what are the biggest industries in the area? What skills are in high demand? What are the current education and training options?
Exactly. We'd also need to think about the culture and make sure the program fits. What are people's attitudes towards learning English? Are there any cultural things we need to be aware of?
It's about making sure the program works well and also feels right for the people we're trying to help.
And of course, we need to make sure there's enough money and resources to make it happen.
Money is always a challenge, but I think this study makes a strong case for putting money into programs like this.
Absolutely.
The return on investment is clear, both for individuals and for society.
It's an investment that pays off in terms of economic growth, social progress, and giving people more control over their lives. It's about creating a future where everyone has the chance to do well.
Okay, let's switch gears for a sec and talk about something that really jumped out at me. The fact that the program seems to help women even more than men.
It's a really interesting finding. It shows how education can help create more equality between men and women.
We saw that women who finish the program see a bigger increase in their earnings compared to men. And like we talked about before, this effect is even stronger for women in the public sector.
It suggests that the program isn't just teaching valuable skills, it's also helping to level the playing field, giving women more equal opportunities in the workplace.
And it shows how important it is to design programs that understand the specific challenges women face when it comes to getting an education and finding a job.
For example, the program's flexible schedule might be a big help for women because they often have more responsibilities at home, like taking care of children or family members.
That's a great point. It's about recognizing that women's lives are often more complicated and busy, and creating programs that work with those realities can make a huge difference in their success.
It's not just about access, it's also about creating a learning environment where women feel supported and valued.
Maybe the program's focus on communication and teamwork helps create a sense of community, allowing women to feel more confident and overcome any doubts they might have about their abilities.
Like, the program is not only teaching them English, but also teaching them to believe in themselves and bounce back from challenges.
And the fact that this effect is even stronger for women in the public sector is really positive. It suggests that the program is making the public sector a fairer place for women, even though it's often seen as having old-fashioned ideas about gender roles.
It's a sign of progress. It shows that education can challenge stereotypes and create workplaces that are more equal and inclusive for everyone.
Now, let's talk about something that's always a concern: unemployment. It's a big problem for young people, especially in countries like the Dominican Republic, where jobs can be hard to come by.
Definitely.
And remember, we saw that less than a quarter of the people in this program have jobs when they start. This tells us they're making a conscious decision to invest in themselves, even though they don't have a job lined up.
Yeah, it's a big commitment.
They're betting on their future, trusting that this program will help them get ahead. It's pretty inspiring to see people taking that chance, investing in themselves, even when things are uncertain. They're not just waiting around. They're actively trying to make their lives better.
It shows you how much they believe in education. They get it. Knowledge and skills are what open doors and help them reach their full potential.
And this program's clearly giving them what they need. We've seen how it's helping them earn more, whether they go get a job or start their own business.
And it's not just about them doing well individually. It's about a ripple effect that reaches everyone. When people succeed, their families succeed, their communities succeed, and the whole economy does better.
It's a great example of how investing in people can make things better for everyone.
So true. As we wrap up our deep dive, I am amazed by how much information you gave me. We've explored so much about this English program, from how it's structured and how it affects wages, to its unexpected link to entrepreneurship and its role in making things fairer for women.
It's been quite a journey, and it's incredible to see how one program can have such a big impact on so many different parts of society.
It shows what's possible when education is done right.
For sure.
And it underscores why it's so important to keep supporting programs like this.
Absolutely. This research has given us a taste of what can happen when we prioritize education and give people the skills they need to thrive in a world that's constantly changing.
And it's made us think of new questions and areas to explore.
I'm especially curious about the long-term effects of this program. We've seen the immediate benefits, but what happens 5, 10, even 20 years down the road? How do these language skills continue to affect the lives of the people who learned them and their communities?
Now, that's an interesting question. It would be amazing to catch up with these graduates and see where life has taken them. Have they moved up in their careers? Have they started successful businesses? Have they become leaders in their communities?
Imagine the stories they could tell, the obstacles they've overcome, the successes they've had, and how this program has shaped their lives and dreams.
It would be like adding a whole new chapter to this already amazing story, showing the lasting power of education and how language can change lives.
And it would give valuable information to policymakers, teachers, and everyone who cares about creating a fairer and more successful future.
It reminds us that learning never really stops. There's always something new to discover, something new to try, and new ways to grow.
And on that note, we'll leave you with a final thought. Imagine you could design the perfect English immersion program. What would it be like? What would be most important to you? What new ideas would you bring in? How would you make sure it reaches the people who need it most and has the biggest positive impact on individuals, communities, and the economy?
Keep thinking about it. There's always more to learn, more to create, and more ways to make a difference.
Until next time, keep exploring.